Wheels Across the Prairie Museum is located on 3297 US 14 in Tracy, Minnesota, and is open on, if you check the web. The Wheels Across the Prairie Museum was started in 1977 when a small group of local citizens began to collect historic artifacts from all facets of prairie life: agricultural, railroad, and automotive. The museum opened on the first day of June 1985. The museum even offers train rides on a small train only, a miniature train. Also features a standard gauge train on display as well. Built by Rachel in Minneapolis. The Wheels Across the Prairie Museum, and just in the circle where the mini train goes around. You see right here, there's railroad crossing lights they use as decorations. It says here was made by Chris World Signal Company. So, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Just see here, the decoration here at the Wheels Across the Prairie Museum in Tracy, Minnesota. And this one used to have a stop sign, but it's no longer there. What you see right behind me is Chicago Northwestern 400. Chicago Northwestern 400 was built as a miniature replica of the original. Also, this diesel is built to resemble the original Chicago Northwestern 400, which was scrapped many years ago. And also, this one was made to run on miniature scale tracks. This one is used by the Wheels Across the Prairie Museum in Tracy, Minnesota for giving rides around on the miniature scale tracks as well. Okay, you can see right here, this car and the car right there is one of the many passenger cars here riding at the museum. And here's the Wheels Across the Prairie Museum in Tracy, Minnesota. The observation car. Sioux Line 346 was built by Alco in 1915 in Schenectady, New York, and is the 555 70th steam locomotive built by that factory, and is an 060 six-wheeler type steam locomotive, and is a B4 class steam locomotive. Sioux Line 346 was used for the Sioux Line Railroad and worked in the St. Paul, Minnesota yards, hauling coal to the Northern States Power Plant. Then in 1955, Sioux Line 346 was retired and was sold to the switch cars at the Koppers Company coal gasification plant in St. Paul, Minnesota. Then sometime in the 1960s, Sioux Line 346 was sold to the Depot House restaurant in Rochester, Minnesota, which it was next sold to the Salvation Army in Rochester, Minnesota, and displayed near an outlet store.
Then, in 1990, Sioux Line 346 was sold onto the Mount Pleasant Shop Services at the Midwest Central Railroad in McMillan Park in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. And then, in April that year, then in the 1990s, the locomotive was bought by the Wheels Across the Prairie Museum in Tracy, Minnesota, where it is today. Also, Sioux Line 346 is disguised as a Chicago Northwestern steam locomotive, but never has ever worked for the Chicago Northwestern Railroad and is seen as Chicago Northwestern 850, but still is Sioux Line 346, and even has the number 9 on the smokebox door number plate, and even seen as Dakota, Minnesota, and Eastern 9. Also, the tender appears to have been sold by the Coppers Company to the Depot House restaurant and onto the museum. Also, Sioux Line 346 is one of 3 surviving Sioux Line 060s left in the world today. And 346 can be found here at the Wheels Across the Prairie Museum in Tracy, Minnesota, where it is today. Also, you can even ring the locomotive's bell as well. And that's how it's done. Okay, you can see right here, here's the switch stand that you might find next to the steam locomotive. Here's the Across the Prairie Museum in Tracy, Minnesota, and we've used it to change the point on the, like it was used on the Chicago Northwestern. Yep, it was. You can try moving it. You could also see this switch stand right here. This is another one they have, but this one is next to the this maintenance of way crane and this flatbed standing on the rails. And this was used at railroad junctions. No, at points when tracks would be switched. What you see right behind me, Chicago Northwestern. 26,1928. Chicago Northwestern 261-928 was built like around the late 1800s or in the 1900s and is a boxcar. Chicago Northwestern 261-928 261-928 is like known to be an immigrant car, and is even a boxcar that was once used for hauling cargo on board many years ago, and even used on freight trains for the Chicago Northwestern Railroad many years ago. Then later on, Chicago Northwestern 261-928 was retired and then came to be part of the Wheels Across the Prairie Museum in Tracy, Minnesota, where it is seen today. What you see right here, this is Chicago Northwestern Speeder number 406, and it's displayed right here at the trail at the Wheels Across the Prairie Museum in Tracy, Minnesota. And this was used for inspecting the tracks and now displayed here at the museum. What you see right behind me is the train depot. The train depot was built in 1897 and is a Chicago Northwestern station. This depot was originally located in Volga, South Dakota, and used for the Chicago Northwestern Railroad and passenger service for passengers to catch a train to going somewhere or to arrive on a train from somewhere, and to even wait in the waiting room many years ago for a train. Then later, the station was retired and was relocated from Volga, South Dakota, then moved to the Wheels Across the Prairie Museum in Tracy, Minnesota for display, next to the train display at the museum as well. Okay, I'm going to show you the exhibits inside the depot, so I'll get behind the camera and walk around and show you in there. So, here we go. Okay, so we're walking in the train depot, walking to see the exhibits. Look at all these toy trains and such, pictures. Look at all that. These are mannequins, Manny's for short. Here's a schedule board where these mannequins are. This one's a hobo. Looks like. Wow, look at all these. Such amazing railroad history they have here. And here's a old-fashioned telephone. And here's a calendar from 1979, it looks like. Yep, that's it, Buena Park. That's the Rio Grande Southern, number 40. No, yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's the 41 is actually there. Its sister there, but yeah, it operates there sometimes. I don't know what happened to 40 though. Maybe it got scrapped, or maybe 41 dressed like it. But who knows? And this is a model of the Pioneer, the real one you can find at the Chicago History Museum in Chicago, Illinois. And here's an old-fashioned typewriter, as well as another. Here's a lantern that they used. A wooden Chicago Northwestern caboose. Lots of toy trains in there. This looks like American Flyer. Wow. Look at all this. Pretty amazing stuff they have in here. Railroad history. Pretty cool. Yeah. So much to see in here. What you see right above me, this is a depot signal that would be used in the office, the ticket office of the depot, like this one would, used for the Chicago Northwestern. Now, this one is retired and displayed proudly here. What you see right behind me is Chicago Northwestern 10924. Chicago Northwestern 10924 was either built around somewhere in the 1950s or earlier than that year, and is a steel bay window caboose. Chicago Northwestern 10924 was used on freight trains on the Chicago and Northwestern Railroad, and also used as the train crew's office, and is one of many Chicago Northwestern cabooses used on the Chicago Northwestern Railroad as well. Then later on, Chicago Northwestern 10924 was then retired and then came to be part of Wheels Across the Prairie Museum in Tracy, Minnesota around the 1970s or 1980s or 1990 or 1991. But first it was parked at the end of the track of the former Marshall branch. Then the caboose was moved to the display track, occupied by the steam engine and boxcar, and can be seen on display as well. And you can even check out the interior of the caboose as well while visiting. Okay, you can see here's a maintenance way flatbed, otherwise known as a boggy. This one is seen here on display next with this train and it's on the rails behind the caboose, and also preserved here at the Wheels Across the Prairie Museum here in Tracy, Minnesota, and it used to carry items on as well. You can see right here, this is a maintenance way flatbed on the concrete platform that's next to the train display. This one was used for carrying items
such as tools and such on board when it was used for working on the rails. You can see right here, here's a maintenance of way crane that they have here. This one might have been used for Chicago Northwestern years ago. And this one is being displayed right here on the tracks, the rails at Wheels Across the Prairie here in Tracy, Minnesota. Well, I hope you all enjoyed learning about trains with me today in Matthew Lapp Train Guy segment show. Also, I hope to see you all again in the next segment. So this is Matthew Lapp, host of Matthew Lapp Train Guy segment show. Sign out until next time. All aboard.